I haven't given it much thought. Yeah, the biggest. I think I can make it work. Girl, I'm figuring it out. You gotta trust me. Girl, I gotta trust myself, okay? Girl, I don't know. Hello and welcome to Relish Crafts, where we relish in our crafts. Today's upcycle project is going to be a bag. I really want to make a bag. One of the lovely style sisters that purchased one of my most favorite bags, probably one of the first bags I've ever made. I haven't made that many, girl, okay? Anyways, it was my favorite bag. She got it, she loved it, and she was excited to see what I would make next. And then she threw out an idea of like, oh, it'd be so cool if you did like the Hand of Fatima. And I thought, that would be so cool. So I'm just going to go for it. Okay. I created a template. I'm just going to go for it. I haven't given it much thought. That could be a mistake, but you know what? That's what we do here. We make mistakes and they turn out to be happy accidents. Okay, girl? This is my template. Is it a little big? Yeah, the biggest. I've never made something this big, but I think I can make it work. I have only this much heavyweight interfacing left. I don't know if I'm going to use this or something else, but I'm leaning towards creating just one side of the bag with this and then the other side of the bag not using this. Okay, so it's not too, it's going to be structured obviously because this stuff is pretty hard, but if I don't do that to the back, it's not going to be, girl, I'm figuring it out. Okay. In my mind, I just turned on my camera. I was doing all kinds of stuff and I was like, I need to do this. I'm going to do it because I don't know how long it's going to take. Okay. I never know. I don't have a gauge for these things. So, okay, look, I have a template. I'm going to cut it out, right? Of this stuff. And then I thrifted this bag from Nepal. I think it's a beautiful bag. I washed it. I cleaned it. I really like it. So I'm hoping that there's enough fabric here for me to cover the front side of my bag with it. Once it's on, right? Once I've cut my template out, once I've seam ripped this thing and covered one half this side, the important part of my bag, I'm going to maybe embellish it somehow. I haven't decided. Maybe Sashiko type thread stuff. Girl, I don't know. Maybe beads, maybe charms, maybe tassels. I don't know. Okay. So I need to get started just cutting this out first, making this. Okay. I'm going to put the template on top of my interfacing, cut it out. Then I'm going to start seam ripping this bag so that I can use this fabric to cover this front side of my bag, okay? Because I need two parts, okay? The front side of my bag and the back side. I haven't gone any further than that. Girl, I don't even know what I'm going to use for the back side. Right now, all I care about is the front because that's going to be the most fun part, okay? The fun part where I get to embellish it and make it all pretty. And then I get to cross other bridges later, okay? So that's as far as I'm going to go right now. I'm just going to cut out the template and go from there, okay? I'll be seam ripping this bag so that I can use it for my bag. So let's get started on that. I have deconstructed the bag. I still have to go through and clean up all of the threads and get them off to get my fabric clean here. And this is the front panel of the bag, the back, the base of the bag, and these made up the strap or the handle, right? And the lining, I don't think it's going to be something that I salvage. I'll think about it, but I may not keep that. And the button that I assumed, the button that kept it closed. So I have all these parts. Now I'm going to get my hand here and cover it with fabric, okay? So here, this is a pretty good coverage amount so far. And then I could probably use the base part to solve for this one piece here. right? So I'm just going to try to piece it together. I have a little piece here, right, that I can cut off on both corners to piece this gap here. So I haven't decided how it is that I'm going to line it up. That's what I'm going to do next. Now, I don't know if I want it flat like this or if I want to stuff some filling in here, right, to make it kind of like a pillow. So I'm still thinking about that, because if I want to stuff it, I need to do that first, right? It needs to get sewn on at the same time. I kind of like the idea of it kind of pillowing out. Now, when you go to do detailed work like your Sashiko embroidery or even sewing charms, that fuzziness from the stuffing is going to pull through and it's just going to look like a bunch of little hairs. That's the only thing that I don't like about that technique. But, you know, hopefully people know and understand that it's not hair, that it's the stuffing that's getting fished through with the thread, you know. So that's the only thing. And I do like kind of filling it with some filling. Now, if I fill it with filling, I'm just going to go through and randomly stitch through here to anchor it down with my sewing machine, because that's what I want to do. But if not, I might just leave it flat like this. Okay, that's also an option. So I haven't decided. So now I'm just going to go through and pick off all of these loose threads and decide how I'm going to solve for this little gap here and go from there. So let me clean up these seams. All this thread needs to get picked off, right? Like I need to remove all of this thread so that I have clean fabric to work with. Just get rid of it and start sewing it onto my template here. And once I get it sewn on to my template, that's when I get to sit and, you know, really embellish it. Because I'm not going to make the purse first entirely and then go through and embellish it, you know. I think it's better to work with it when it's fully deconstructed first and then put it together. I opted out of using the heavyweight interfacing. This happens sometimes, you know, I just changed my mind and I just went with fusible interfacing, like a medium weight one, right? So you could see it still kind of keeps its shape a little bit. I just thought that this might be a little too rigid for like a comfortable slouchy bag, you know, that I was going for, so that it kind of, it's kind of like the bag that I used, right? That it was very slouchy. I don't know how to describe it other than it was a bag with no shape. But I want the hand to kind of keep its shape, okay? Girl, I'm figuring it out. This is why I opted out of this. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? I'm winging it. I'm playing it by ear, and I just make it up as I go. So what I'm going to do now is try to trace my handprint as best I can. I might just go around with the sewing machine to create a stitched border just so that I have a guide. And then I'm going to go in with some colorful embroidery thread and start stitching the handprint around so that, you know, when you use thread a lot, like embroidery thread, it really does give it structure, okay? So I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen, that it'll give it structure and strength. Now, this also allows me that if I do want to put stuffing, I can do it after. It's just, I don't, like I already told you, I don't like that the fuzz pulls through and it looks like maybe somebody was sewing in a bed of cat fur, okay? Because the stuffing comes through. So I'm just going to do the sewing first and decide after if I'm going to add some stuffing or not. Probably not, because I loved how the original bag was just so kind of shapeless in a way, even though I'm trying to use this shape, okay? You got to trust me. Do you trust me? I hope you trust me, okay? Girl, I got to trust myself, okay? So I'm just going to keep going, but now it's going to take forever, okay? The embroidery part, the Sashiko style of sewing is going to take longer. So I'm just going to follow the shape of the hand and go from there, okay? But I just got to keep the faith that this is going to work out. This little spot here was where the button was. I don't even know if you could see that. So, ooh, I might use buttons to embellish it too. That's where I'm at. This is the most important part to me, okay? This is how the vision comes together. That's why I wanted to get to this part. And now I'm just going to maybe use my machine to kind of trace around a border around it so it doesn't, girl, I don't know, okay? I just need to get it sewing, okay? I'm just gonna start using my embroidery thread to stitch around. So let me get started on that. The interfacing that I use makes it easy for me to trace my template and create the outline that I then go with my sewing machine and trace, right? So now I have a visible border that I can follow with my embroidery thread, okay? Let me get you, so you see the thread is traced the same way the outline is. And now I'm just gonna sit down and start using embroidery thread to trace everything, okay? I don't know if I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna do it once. Girl, I don't know. I'm playing it by ear here. I'm just winging it, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do next. I finished doing all of my embroidery design on this embellished front panel for my bag, right? This is the back panel to the bag. And it has a little like rust spot here that I try to get out, or a stain, whatever it is, looks like rust. And I was not able to get it out. So I might cover that up with something. I'm not sure yet. This is what made up the bottom of the bag. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew it onto here so that I can go ahead and trace out the back panel of my bag. I will have to figure out a fabric that's going to make up the border of my bag and the base of it. So I'll go ahead and look for that next. But I need to go ahead and merge these two pieces together so that it's a large enough panel. I'm going to put some very lightweight fusible interfacing here and trace my pattern on and cut it out. And then I can start looking for a fabric that will make up the circumference of my bag and the bottom. Now the lining of the original bag had a zipper pocket inside that has a hole in it, so I can't just like restitch it onto here. So I won't be using that. That's where I'm at right now. This embroidery part took a couple days to accomplish, but I hope that when it's all finished, you agree it was worth it. Okay, I decided on this purple fabric to line the inside of my bag to make the base out of and just line my panels in this fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm just going to, you know, cut some pieces out and line these panels and then start working on creating the base of my bag and the sides of it out of this fabric. This was the strap to the original handbag, and I had to take a piece of it to make my front panel, right? So that's why it's this much shorter. So I'm just going to merge it here at that width, right? Because it's too narrow up here. I'm just gonna merge it until the width meets, and then that'll just be my new strap. However it falls, this is fine with me. I obviously took some length off of it. My pattern is large. This is the base of my purse. I just made a rectangle. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what I'm going with. So I will also add this much, right? I'll sew it to the base here, this width of fabric. And then here, let me put it this way. Well, I'll just use one side as an example. This is the base of the bag. I'm adding this much width and length just because, and then I'm going to stitch this onto that. I'm just winging it here. I haven't measured anything. Okay, I'll do that. I'll merge this. And the idea is that I will stitch. See, I don't know if this is going to work, okay? I'm just guessing here that I'm going to then, because this is all very flexible fabric, I'm just going to essentially merge it onto my panels just like this, and that'll be the circumference of my bag. Will it work? I don't know. I have no idea. And I'm going to stop at right here at the top of this finger. That's it. And hopefully that will work for the bag, and you'll have this strap, right, that merges with the other side. So this is the idea so far. This is the bottom of the bag, and then this will line the side. It will merge into the strap, and that's it. That will be the bag. So I need to work on creating this circumference piece. I'm just going to work on connecting all these pieces, the base, the side panel, and the strap. So it's this one long piece, and then I'll work on connecting the panels onto the circumference, okay? I've successfully sewed the bottom to the sides, and you know, my straps it's all together now. And I'm just gonna go through and sew it all onto my panels now. And I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to try it out. I think I'm going to try to pin it first and then go from there. I've gotten one panel sewn on. Okay. So that was very tricky because of this shape here, but I got it done. And now I just got to sew the other panel to the other side. So I'm going to pin it on and just get it sewn on. That should complete it. Okay, I am finally finished. Okay, it was a very awkward shape, but I got there in the end. And it is all done. So now I just got to show it to you guys. But it is done. This is the bottom and the side. My strap. Both panels are on. And I'm very happy with it. Now I just got to show it to you. This was a different twist to a classic favorite. I think some people refer to them as like a hippie bag, but I learned when I thrifted it that these bags are made in Nepal, and I've always seen them, right? They're like a very shapeless, simple sack of a bag, and it's really fun with the textures and the colors. And I'm very happy that I was able to kind of put my own twist on it. I did end up adding some length to the strap because it's so big. It was sitting up much too high, and the original length that I had to work with did not allow for it to be a crossbody, which I think is a classic way that these bags are worn. And I wanted mine to be worn that way. So I did add some length to it. I wanted to capture the shape of the bag, right? This hand shape. And a part of that was these corners here. And if I would have wrapped it around, right, sewn them back, it would have, I think, taken away from the classic Hand of Fatima shape. So I just kept it. And because I used this very non-structured slouchy fabric here on the sides, I was able to just kind of shape it to that shape, and it worked out. So it's quite large, so you could fit a guitar in there, I think, and definitely a ukulele. But that's the point, you know, these things are very slouchy and sack-like in that you can put a lot of things in there. It's super fun. Now, the embroidery. This is why I'm very hesitant to do embroidery projects, because I want to be able to put out my content in a predictable pattern. But when I take up embroidery, even if it's something like a Sashiko-style embroidery, girl, it takes a very long time. And this was pretty thick to get that embroidery needle through, so I had to use pliers a lot. And after 2 days of that, it did a number on my fingertips and my palm. But that's the name of the game. You know, I'm trying to get it done fast so that I can have my video done. That's not the approach that any of you have to take. You know, you could just visit it whenever you're winding down for the evening every day. Girl, it'll go by quickly. It's just that I'm trying to execute it really quickly, and that's a little tricky. But I loved all the various colors that I was able to use, and I didn't know that I was going to add the eye. It's just every time I kept referencing the photo, the hand had the eye there, right? It's the evil eye, for God's sakes. So I had to include it, and I tried to match it up as best that I could. And it came out really well. I mean, I think at first glance you could see what it is. So in that sense, I've nailed it. I'm really happy with how it came out. I like that I was able to stick with its original color scheme with the fabrics that I already had. And I did end up adding a pocket on the inside. Like I said in my video, the original one had a hole in it, but I was able to seam rip the zipper off of it and reuse it for my pocket. I'm just winging it. It's just a simple rectangular pocket, but it's functional, and I'm glad that I added it to it. I think it's very much in alignment with its original form, and I'm very happy for that. I used every bit of it, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's super cool. I've not seen something like this before. And you know, you guys saw how I made it. I just drew a shape, made 2 versions of that shape, right? Front panel, back panel, and a strap that just went around the entire shape. So in that sense, it's fairly easy. The original construction of this bag, which was just 2 squares and a rectangle for the bottom, easy, okay? And I think it's something that you can very well execute or upcycle. Something that you find out there, some type of fabric bag, girl, make it your own. You can do it. I just know you can. Just draw yourself a template. You can do it. I try to style it up with different types of ways, you know, with a caftan, dress, jeans, harem pants, or cargo pants, just because it's such a versatile way of dressing. I just wanted you to see that this bag is functional, and it really does blend in with our aesthetic, and it really goes with a lot of different things. And I'm very happy to have made it. I want to thank the rock stars that make my day every day by seeing their names pop up in my YouTube studio that are my channel members. Y'all are the best. you guys just make my heart bigger and bigger every day, just seeing your names in the comment section and knowing that you guys are supporting my art is everything to me. I know that I have been bringing that up, but that's how I feel. I hope you'll turn on your notifications. I recently tested going live. My audio was terrible, but I'm working on it and I want to go live again because it was fun talking to you guys real time. I was incredibly nervous through it, but I just know I'm going to get better at it. You know, it's all new to me, and it's not always just my members or my subscribers that are in there, right? The Style Sisters, it's anybody and everybody. So it was a lot to take in for the first time, but I'm working on it. I'm going to get better at it. Thank you for watching. I love you for that. And until my next video, I'll see you next time. Bye.